Hello, guys. Welcome back to Almost 30 Podcast, baby.
Welcome to the show. It's Lindsay and Krista. We're so happy you're here. We've been happy for 8 years.
Yeah, honestly.
That you've been here.
Sometimes we've been miserable, but then we were happy. Sometimes it's been dire. Maybe we did say we were miserable. It wasn't always miserable, but sometimes you're just not feeling it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when we were both living in LA a few years back, we would record a few times a week. Correct?
Oh, yeah.
And so
With full-time jobs.
With full-time jobs, that was totally fatiguing. And also we were just going through a lot of different changes, whether it's in like our careers, like with our health and our relationships. And like you just never knew what you were going to get from us in terms of like our
the vibe.
mood.
And we were like psychically beefing sometimes.
Totally.
We would just be like psychically beefing. So we'd be like,
Well, I think our relationship is unique to a lot of people because we met and started a business at the same time, basically, and started a friendship.
which actually works, I think.
It totally works, and it's like a double layer.
Yeah.
So it's
totally.
like I was bringing insecurities to both the friendship layer and the business layer.
Oh, yeah. And I was bringing my own.
Yeah, like we were just bringing a lot of
that's
stuff
true.
and not talking about it. But
Yeah.
once we started talking about it, we had a therapist, we had a coach.
Yep.
It felt so much better.
Changed everything.
Yeah.
And just became easy. Like, it's just easier. The communication's just reps.
Yeah.
And knowing that it's always available, it's like if there is something, it's always available for conversation is just such a liberating feeling to have in a relationship, because I think that's what gets hard if you're in a relationship and you feel like you couldn't say something.
Yeah.
I think my preference is to process myself, figure out something. What's my role in this? Am I projecting? Am I, is this not worth it? But like, what could be done at home? And at home, my insides are my home. So what can I do at home? And then you're like, okay, is this something I want to bring to someone? But for me, not having the option of feeling safe enough to bring something is such a, it's a deal breaker.
Yeah, it's a deal breaker for me.
It's a deal breaker for me. It's actually not. I have relationships where I feel like I can't, but it's not a total deal breaker. It's just not my preference.
I completely agree. But welcome.
Welcome.
We're so happy to be just serving you in this way. We do interviews, we do solo episodes, just based on what y'all are interested in. And today is one I'm really excited about because I have been using this brand forever. And every once in a while, we just like to talk about
yeah, man. Like to talk about beauty.
Little beauty,
honestly.
like adornment. It's really fun. So Chris is the founder of Thrive Causemetics, and you had a really fun conversation with her.
She's so cool. I met her at Soho House with one of my dear friends, was having a dinner, and she came. The most beautiful skin on earth, like so cool. She always volunteers at this animal shelter that like that is by us. I'm like, I want to go with her to an animal shelter soon. And she's just a really good person. That's like such a baller. I mean, Thrive is incredible. What they do as a brand, how quality and clean the products are is incredible. I just love them. I use their blur powder to keep my makeup on longer, to have it set. I use all of their mascaras I really love. I use their brow gel. I use their lipsticks, their lip liners. I pretty much have almost all of their stuff.
So your whole face,
and use it. My whole face is from them. And
yeah.
it's because it's a clean brand, my skin responds so beautifully.
Same.
And I think it's just made such a difference. But one of the tips that I have for you guys about beauty and makeup is putting mascara on your bottom lashes.
Oh yeah.
My
Look
friend
like a doll.
Shan, I have friends that like don't do that. They're like they'll just do like a little bit at the tip and like just kind of extend their tips. No, I am sitting down and taking my dang time and pulling my lashes out, stringing them out, top and bottom.
And so their mascara is, I think it's viral. I'm not on TikTok that much, but like I've heard it's gone viral anyway.
Everyone tells me that stuff.
But I'm obsessed with their mascara. So basically it's like the tubing mascara.
Yes.
Where it looks like you have extensions on. I actually gave it to our nanny, and she is someone who would normally she hasn't in a while, but would normally get fake eyelashes if she wanted to go out or whatever. And she was like, wait, this changed my life.
Yeah.
So I wear that, and I also use the Infinity Waterproof Eyebrow Liner. I'm an eyebrow girl. Like I need to have my eyebrows filled in order to feel like I can take
on the day.
Take on the day. That's what I was gonna say.
That is something that I just got my eyebrows microbladed again, and I just feel like a new woman when I've got a little microblading. That's something I will still use the brow gel from Thrive Causemetics over them, but that was one of the beauty things that I did when I moved to Los Angeles that I was like, getting a tattoo of brows on your face is going to be something I regret, but it changed my whole face.
I know.
It fills in your brows. It makes them perfect. They do it like little hair shades. It makes them dark color. Like that gave me a balance and symmetry too to my face that I really, really needed. And it's just been incredible.
So what do you feel? Because I feel like people have been asking you, but I'm curious too. I feel like you've updated
my face?
Like your beauty routine.
my face. I've downloaded a new face.
Yeah, you've downloaded a new face.
My beauty routine. I think we talked about this in the glow up episode. So Lindsay and I did an episode where we talked about our glow ups. You can search glow up almost 30 to just hear our tips and tricks. I do think facial massage has helped change the structure of my face.
Oh yeah.
I was looking at photos of my mom because I was looking at photos with my dad with his Alzheimer's. We were just kind of like generating new memories or generating old memories actually. And my mom, so beautiful. Like she has, this is where I got my
facial structure.
The high cheekbones, the puffy cheeks, like is from my mom. And I was just like, oh my God, Mom, you are such a babe.
She's like, what's gua sha?
No, Aunt. She's like, am I a narcissist? Let me show you a picture. But I really think the facial massage has helped balance my face in a way that I didn't have before.
Oh, yeah.
And helped lifted my face in a huge way. And then, look how cute.
Oh my gosh.
Cutie. I know, that's
so
me.
beautiful.
And that's the good side.
Oh my God. You could tell.
I know.
You could tell that's your good side.
And you can
as
tell
a 2-year-old.
it's a good side. You die.
So
skincare
cute.
routine has always kind of stayed Osea Clear Stem. I like Biossance too. I'm not too crazy about my skincare routine. I'll kind of use whatever's around, whatever I get free, I'll use.
Yeah.
Living Libations I also really, really love. And then I truly think that the facial massage and focusing on the symmetry of my face through that has really, really helped. And weight loss. This is the whole thing. Someone asked me, they're like, did you get buccal fat? And I was like, no, I've lost however much weight.
Yeah.
Like when
what
you
is
lose
that?
weight.
What is that?
Buckles when you basically cut out fat from your cheeks.
Oh my God. Is it a suck it out, or you
know
cut
if they
it?
like slice it or they suction it, but yeah, it's basically like when you almost. A lot of celebrities have it now. Like when you see they're super gaunt and like just super cut, like
wow.
Also like this. But it's what's funny too is I've also noticed is a lot of the work that people are doing is making them look more masculine. It's getting jawline filler. Yeah. It's having a really angular jaw. It's having the buccal fat. It's having high cheekbones. Like those are more like square masculine features. The round like softness is more the feminine. And so it's funny now too that women are feeling more masculine. And then part of that look is also being involved with having a more masculine structured face. When women have always been sort of rounder, softer, like fuller.
Yes.
In that way.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I know. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, the facial massage has been
who's the person that you watch?
I've watched like 5 of them. Natural Face Bible is one.
Okay.
Facial Beauty Face or something like that.
Yes.
I linked it. I think it's linked. But you guys can DM me and I'll send them to you. But it's just, I found that like even when I put makeup on, it's just different.
Yeah.
Like it just sits
100%.
different. There are some days where I'm like, oh, I feel the lines more, whether that's I haven't massaged in a few days or I'm dehydrated or maybe my sleep is a little off and I'll just see. But then, it's a quick recoup.
Yes.
Like you can quickly recoup by bringing blood and like really loosening up the fascia. It's wild. And I'll say this again, and I'm not against Botox. Maybe I'll get it again in my life. But I do notice the places I got Botox, I have more wrinkles.
You do know.
Yes. My forehead is where I would get Botox for, I think I started when I was 28 maybe, up until I got pregnant, December 2022. Yeah. And then this is the hardest place. And granted, I would have probably a bit more deeper wrinkles if I never got Botox. So I do think preventative is great.
Yeah.
But it's harder. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Wait, that's insane.
So
oh my God. It was funny because
your muscles lose the
Tess. I see this girl in LA. Her name's Tess Adams. She's amazing. She works at Take Care Beauty. She's all about natural beauty and basically working with microcurrent and figuring out natural ways to lift and tone and sculpt your face. So I see her once a month. She really helps me. But we were doing like, I was filming it because I'll film it and show. And we were like, I was like, can you lift my brows and like do the thing? And I was like filming it. And she's like, and I stopped filming and she goes, when you have Botox, I can't really lift it. She's like, it's not really going to work. it was literally so funny. I was like, okay. But I had this wrinkle by my smile line that I came in with that honestly, right after the session, I left without from using microcurrent, from moisturizing, from like water, from moving things. And so it's just something that like, yeah, we have to be mindful of. There's something I want to share. So basically there's consumer groups that are seeking stronger warnings on Botox and similar treatments. So this was an article in Reuters that said consumer advocacy group Public Citizen filed a petition to the USDA to seek makers of Botox and similar several injections like Dysport to include stronger warnings about the risk of potentially fatal muscle paralyzing disease. So these injections, which use various versions of Botox to contract specific muscles by blocking certain nerve signals to erase wrinkles, already have a black box warning in their labels about the risk of the intended effects spreading to other areas. So the consumer group asked the FDA to make it clear that these adverse effects could happen even at recommended doses. Yeah. So it's basically stronger warning.
I remember
labels.
The last time I got Botox, it was I didn't even get it for my wedding, which is very interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
I don't regret it, but I could have. But I got it after, like 2 months after, and I remember crying afterwards uncontrollably, feeling like it was weird. I didn't expect to cry. Like I went in, I was like, yeah, I'm getting Botox. And afterwards I was just like, why did I do that? Wow. It was weird.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I don't know. I don't know if that's just my body.
You know why you did it, babe? The patriarchy.
I totally
You know what
agree.
happened is you were influenced by the patriarchy to get Botox. When really it's like women on women.
Yeah, it's like completely.
There was actually there's like a TikTok trend where there's like women saying they're getting all their work done. And then they're basically like, I'm doing this because of the patriarchy. I'm like, sis, that ain't the patriarchy.
Anyway, this conversation is a great one. And we love Thrive Causemetics.
So good.
Yeah, all of their products are vegan, cruelty-free. They are created in their own lab. So they are very, very obsessed with the quality of their products. The fact that they actually work. A lot of like clean makeup doesn't work, and I feel like this is like photo shoot worthy. Yes. Makeup is really good.
I love the blur powder. We really love the brow gel. We love their mascara. Basically anything you get from them, you're going to love. I've also linked in my stories through my links a lot of the products that I use for their beauty, but they're honestly one of my favorite brands. And what I really love about Thrive is they work with a brand called Bigger Than Beauty to empower customers, employees, and giving partners to live a confident life. So Thrive Causemetics has a giving mission. So they donate products, they donate monetary funds, they use a lot of the money that they receive through people that buy their products to support different causes related to cancer, domestic abuse, homelessness and poverty, veterans, racial and social justice, under-resourced youth, education, and LGBTQIA+. So I really love that they've given over $100 million in products. They have 500 plus giving partners, and they just are truly a brand that is doing a lot in the world. And so it was nice to talk with Karissa, the founder, again, the founder of Thrive Causemetics. Her name is Karissa Bodnar, and we got to speak with her in this conversation about her decision to give back, why they do what they do, her mission, how to build a big brand and company. She was one of the 2021's America's Self-Made Women with the highest net worth. And she's just done so many incredible things. So I think you're really going to love this. For anyone that's interested in beauty, interested in creating your own business, interested in becoming a female founder, I think you're going to find a lot of value from her.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for listening. And if you want to learn more about Almost 30, go to almost30.com, baby. And make sure to follow us on our socials. on Instagram at Almost 30 Podcast. Same on TikTok. We're popping off there as well. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube. We are on video. We'd love for you to watch.
We'd love for you to watch. Thank you so much, Karissa. Again, Thrive Causemetics. The code is almost 30. You can get a discount on all of their products. Highly, highly, highly recommend going shopping for yourself and doing good for you and other people. Again, it's thrivecausemetics.com. Code is almost 30 to get any of the beauty products we talked about and support the mission.
All right. We'll see you on the other side. Enjoy. Okay. When I say strengthening your immune system, y'all probably think of like vitamin C, right? Well, I am going to introduce you to a product from a brand that I love. And it has, honestly, I've heard from so many people that they got through cold and flu season without getting sick because they were taking Armra colostrum. My immune system has never been so strong. I am just blown away by the power of this product. Now, what is Armra colostrum? So colostrum, if you don't know, is the first nutrition we receive in life and is an exclusive source of all the essential nutrients we need in order to thrive. And Armra colostrum is a proprietary concentrate of bovine colostrum. It's the overflow. So we are not taking any colostrum from the baby, but this is the overflow, and it harnesses over 400 functional nutrients to support and strengthen your immune barriers. So basically like your body's inside suit of armor and first line of defense against harmful particles from the environment that can trigger inflammation and make you sick. So it strengthens immunity. It ignites metabolism, it fortifies the gut health, promotes hair growth and skin radiance, and empowers fitness, performance, and recovery. This has been like on the low with athletes for years and years and years, and now it is available for you. I'm really excited for you to try. It tastes amazing. I love the blood orange. I mix it in my water. Sometimes I'll just take a scoop of the non-flavored and just toss it in my mouth. It kind of tastes like a milk dud. It's delicious. But I am totally, totally a believer, and I use this every single day. You mix it into a cold beverage or a smoothie. It's incredible. So we worked out a special offer for our audience. Receive 15% off your first order when you go to tryarmra.com/almost30. That's tryarmra.com/almost30, or enter the code almost30 to get 15% off your first order. The days when I am getting enough protein, I notice it. I know that my energy levels are where they should be. I feel satiated. I feel amazing. And so how have I been able to do that on the go as a new mom? One of my favorite snacks to satisfy my hunger and protein needs is Chomps. Maybe you've seen them out there, but it's honestly my favorite healthy snack. It has 0 sugar, up to 12 grams of protein, and so many flavors that I love. So basically, this is a meat stick, and they're filled with the highest quality, sustainably sourced, 100% grass-fed meat. So you can feel really good about what you're snacking on. They come in 9 delicious flavors. I love them. I really love the jalapeno. I love the original. I love the teriyaki, but they have a bunch. I think you're going to find one that you love, if not more. And this is something that I bring with me on the go. I have it stashed in my pantry. I give these to people. I swear to you, when you are getting enough protein, you are going to be a happier, healthier human. They have thousands of 5-star reviews. Snackers around the world are satisfied. So if you don't take my word for it, thousands and thousands of other people just love them. And right now, Chomps is offering our listeners 20% off your first order and free shipping when you go to chomps.com/almost30. Go to chomps.com/almost30 to see all the delicious flavors and get 20% off your first order and free shipping. That's chomps.com/almost30. Don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you.
Okay, well, I am so grateful you're here. Lindsay and I both are huge fans of yours and your makeup. And yeah, just sometimes when you come across a brand or a founder or a business, it makes me emotional because it's like, this is how the future is going. This is where we're going. And I always like to look at the future as like, where it is the positive places that we're making change. How can we see the vision that we want to create as a culture and society manifested in the world? That's female leaders, that's leaders that give back, that's people that are invested in growth for the good of the community and the business and the people around it, not just like for profit numbers. And I think it's been so disheartening for so many to see so many businesses just be so profit oriented. And that's what's so powerful about female leaders, is that you are doing it with such mission and such grace and such beauty. You have like purpose behind it. You have yourself infused in it. It's just incredible. So the products are also really good too.
Thank you.
Love the mascara, love the brow gel, love the powder, that set powder.
Oh my gosh.
The matte set powder.
Oh my gosh. And it's literally Filtered Effects setting powder is literally like applying filler to the skin.
No,
like
honestly.
It literally like it's plump, it's juicy. It's because it's infused with hyaluronic acid and green tea. It's literally like powdering on vitamins.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if you don't need to reapply, I'm like, just put some more antioxidants on.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the products are so incredibly clean, which we can talk about that too. But I'm just so fascinated by you and your story, because I think so many women want to make impact in their lives. So many women want to be themselves in their work. So many women want to give back. So many women want to create something new and do something creative with their life and their life force. And you've done that in such a beautiful way. And I know it hasn't been easy. And I love your story because it's just from the ground up. But I'd love to hear about your upbringing, because I think for so many of us, we see our upbringing as a hindrance, or we see it as something that like keeps us from success, because so many people assume that you have to be you have to have a network, you have to be rich already. But I know for you, you grew up in a small town in Washington.
Yes. I grew up on a dirt road in Stanwood, Washington. It's a town of about 5,000 people. And it was magic. It was such a place that cultivated creativity. We did not have cable. We didn't have internet at the time. I got to play. We were sandwiched in between a sheep farm, a cow farm, a horse farm. We had a little bit of everything, pygmy goats, chickens. And it was just such a magical place to grow up. I really appreciate that I got to be outside so much. I got to create, and my parents really fostered that creativity within me because they allowed me to explore that. And I've been writing since before I could write. I would pull my mom aside. I'd say, Mom, I have a story. Write this down. And if I wanted something, they had me work for it. And I really appreciate that nothing was given to me. It was if I wanted that new lipstick at Clinique, I was going to weed on my farm, in my mom's garden, as I'm simultaneously like, oh, let me pick those sunflowers so I could grind those up to make sunflower seed butter or sunflower seed oil to try and make a lipstick or whatever whatever concoction I was trying to make. But yeah, growing up in a small town where there weren't big businesses and we were really supporting the local businesses because that was just a way of life, was such a beautiful way to grow up.
Yeah, and I love that you've mentioned that you're the black sheep. You kind of felt like the alien. And I think that was my experience too. I think I'm an alien, so I definitely thought that. But it was almost like I just felt different than other people. I felt like I thought differently. I kind of moved through the world differently. And it made me uncomfortable for a lot of my life until I was able to flip it and see it as something that's really beautiful. But I think for a lot of women that are listening, they're deeply spiritual, they're deeply sensitive, and they do feel a little bit like the black sheep. So for you growing up, like what was that experience like where you're growing up in a small town, you have dreams, you have vision, you have this like, you have things that you want to create and creativity. How did that feel?
I think that when I was first growing up, I didn't know any other way. And so one of the beautiful things about not seeing a lot of those messages from the television or things like that, it allowed me to really just be who I was. And I really appreciate that aspect of it. I will say, though, there were a lot of moments where I wondered what was wrong with me. And even through, the high school years of everybody's partying or college and things like that. And I'm like, no, I'm going to go to my internship tomorrow. Like
you had an internship in high school?
Yeah, I was,
Whoa.
yeah. I did the Nordstrom fashion board, and that was such a great experience for me. And that was really when I got to drive, that was freedom for me because I was able to get beyond my town and experience different. I mean, I even did a job in politics when I was in high school, just because it was this opportunity for me to really contribute. And I'm not a political person, but it was something where this person saw a light in me, and then and that woman that I got to work for, I mean, I was 16 years old, and she was telling me things like, don't sleep your way to the top because it's not going to work. And so I didn't even know what that meant.
Totally.
But to have that message, I just feel so grateful that I had these angels that came into my life at times, even despite the challenges that I went through. But back to your question about being different, I think that it is something that is really challenging at times. And that's where you have to come back to the core of who you are, because that is what allows you to persevere through those moments.
I think for a lot of people, finding out who they are is hard, and being that person is hard, but you've been able to do that in your business life and in your public life. You've been able to like create a reality where you're able to be yourself. Do you feel like there was a point in time where you discovered who you are, or has it always been a process? Because I feel like it's so important in your work that you are who you are, and do have this unique perspective because you've been able to create this brand because of it.
It's such a great question, because when you're asking me the question, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm still figuring out who I am. And so I love the idea that we can be a masterpiece and work in progress at the same time. Like, I remind myself of that every single day. And I don't want to be who I was a year ago, but I still am the same Karissa Bodnar that grew up on that dirt road. And I don't know why I'm getting emotional. I think the reason why I'm getting emotional is because I know what it's like to feel lost. And there are moments where I still feel lost. But when you continue to show up as being who you authentically are, whatever that means in the moment, like, there are some moments where I want to be super private. And then there's other moments where I'm like, you know what? Life is really challenging right now, and I'm going to share that with our community. And that is where that vulnerability has allowed me to have so much support, which I'm so thankful for. But I just really encourage people to continue to tap into that inner voice and being quiet with ourselves. And when I'm anxious, I don't want to be quiet. I'd want to do everything but sit still. But that the brilliance comes from that boredom of like that forced boredom. I always say that boredom is where the brilliance begins, at least for me.
Yes. And I think in your childhood that was exemplified.
Yeah.
You know, not having the entertainment around, you had to create your own entertainment and your own curiosity and your own life. But okay, so you grew up on a dirt road. You were in high school doing internships already. Like, what was the journey to making a cosmetics company? Because I think, you know, right now it's so competitive in this space, and especially to make one that's so different and unique. But what was your journey? Why cosmetics?
I have wanted to work in the beauty industry since I was a kid. When I first learned what makeup was and I got to experience putting blush on and what that felt like. And I was really insecure about my teeth because I don't know, but you have gorgeous, beautiful teeth. Were you born like that? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Braces. Yeah,
braces, huge retainer.
Yes.
I had a retainer for like a year and then braces for a year.
Yeah. And I love the idea that while I was feeling insecure about my teeth, I was able to enhance my eyes.
Wow.
And it tapped into my creative side as well as really helping me to feel confident. And so what really made me fall in love with the beauty industry was the power for us to make people feel confident. And because I believe that when we're confident, we're unstoppable. And that's what I want for people, because there are moments where I feel not confident. Still to this day, I go through imposter syndrome and all of those things. But what's funny is I remember I started in the beauty industry when I was 18 years old at Sephora. I worked on the sales floor. I worked on at the cash wrap during holiday. And then shout out to Kina. I still stay in touch with my boss at Sephora. And she hired me on. I was a holiday hire. And then they hired me as a full-time employee. I got to learn makeup. So I became a makeup artist and skincare. And the idea of starting a beauty brand was not one that I had, but it was really this idea that I wanted to create products. So I'm a product developer by background. And that's really my passion, is creating products. The idea of starting one, I didn't even know where to start. It was really the purpose and the mission of Thrive Causemetics and the fact that I couldn't go work at a company like that because it didn't exist, that propelled me and compelled me to create Thrive Causemetics, and now Bigger Than Beauty Skincare.
Because it was basically, so you had the desire to be in the beauty industry, but there was not a beauty company that was aligned with your values.
Yeah.
So you're like, I need to do something about this.
Yeah.
For so many people, they'd be like, Like what was your drive to be like, no, this needs to exist? Because a lot of people would stop.
Yeah. Yeah. And there were a lot of moments where, we didn't have sales for the first 3 years. And so there were a lot of moments where it would have been really easy, really, really easy. Well, actually, but what made it hard to quit and why I won't quit is our cause. When I first started the business, I donated 1,000 pairs of our false lashes and 1,000 bottles of our adhesive, Infinity waterproof lash adhesive. And it's sulfate-free, latex-free, which was something that was so important to the core cause, the first cause that we ever had, which is cancer. And so I experienced firsthand a lot of the donations that we were doing. I was going directly to the hospital. I was going directly to the patients and serving them by applying the lashes to them and hearing what they were saying, seeing the reaction. They didn't even need to say anything, but to see them just light up with joy. I'll never forget the first time I put our false lashes on someone. Her name was Lauren, and she was actually our first model. She had alopecia. And she has since healed herself from alopecia, which is like a medical miracle. And she's now become a nurse. But Lauren got diagnosed with alopecia right as she was graduating from college. And the way that we met is no accident. She had heard of my friend Christy, who unfortunately passed away from cancer, which was really what inspired me to start Thrive Causemetics. She had heard about her story, and we met like 2 hours away from where we were living at the time, actually at a winery of all places. And I just saw this moonlight coming down on this beautiful woman who did not have any hair. She was just this light. It was like the moonlight, and then her light was just absolutely radiating. And we were in my kitchen, in my apartment a year later, and I was applying the lashes on her. I cold called her and said, would you be willing to model for this company, Thrive Causemetics, that I've started? And we didn't have a website. And she just somehow trusted me. We had we had met that one time, and then fast forward a year later, and she actually became our first model. And when I put the lashes on her and got to see the emotional reaction, like she started tearing up. And the stories that she told me, the experiences that we've been able to have together, she'll go to the hospital with me dressed up already for, dressed up like a princess, making these young girls who are going through cancer feel beautiful. Like, to me, that was what kept me from quitting in those moments, was that emotional connection that I had to the people that we were serving.
Yeah, it's so funny because I think before in my life, I would say, oh, like it's makeup, or, oh, like that doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't affect your confidence. And I'm like, oh no, I've held myself back when I didn't feel confident for sure. I've not done things because I didn't feel pretty enough or thin enough or whatever the things are. And so now being on the other side where I most days feel more confident in the past year, I'm like, oh yeah, that really impacts how I show up in the world deeply. It's not like every day I'm like, oh yeah, let's fucking go. But it really matters how you feel.
Absolutely.
And how your life is.
Yeah. And you could wear no makeup, whatever that vehicle is for you feeling beautiful and confident and empowered, I support. Yeah. And to me, sometimes it's not even about the lipstick that we're donating. It's the fact that we're doing it. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I believe in creating excellent products, and we are in the business of excellence. We don't want to develop or give in any way that's subpar. But it's the fact that someone is taking the time out of their day to say, hey, here's a gift for you. Hey, you matter. Hey, you belong here. To me, that's what the power of beauty really is.
Okay, so you had started, you're like, I'm going to start a beauty brand. And like, what are the first steps for that? You're in your apartment, right? You're doing it on your floor in your apartment. Yeah. Did you have friends help? Like, how does one do that?
Yeah. I didn't have this like grand vision for this, like, oh, it's going to be this, let me start over. I didn't have this perfect vision for what the company could become. I could not have predicted what Thrive Causemetics ultimately became. But the same business plan, the same vision that I cast one night when I had the idea for Thrive Causemetics, I woke up in the middle of the night and had the idea, and I wrote it down on my iPhone. That same vision stands today. It's about a business that is about so much more than just selling makeup and skincare. And it's really about solving a problem. So to me, the causes that we support, we have 8 causes that we support, whether it's veterans and their family, the unhoused population, cancer survivors, domestic violence survivors, and so much more. To me, that's solving a problem by being there for those people in their time of need and giving them a hand up. And that to me is solving a problem. The other piece is about solving product problems. So to me, again, the world doesn't need another lipstick. The world doesn't need another blush. If we're going to create one, which we have, it has to be excellent. It has to be different. And to me, that's the fun in it all. Like, I'm a science nerd. I love solving these problems. And so, like, to me, I'm like, let's go cure gray hair. Like, if you want to have gray hair, that's totally fine. But what if you had another alternative? And that's like literally our brow gel has this amazing gray delay complex that literally helps to dye the brows and redeposit the melanocytes that are stripped away as our hair's gray in the brow gel. And so to me, that's like a fun problem to solve.
That's sick. I love the brow gel.
Yes.
Wait, that is... Yes. Okay. So I want to get like nitty gritty because I think so many women are wanting to start businesses that are big and that are bold and that are as powerful as you. So you have the idea, you're doing this. Do you have to like reach out? Like, how exactly would you start a business like this? How exactly would you take your first steps to creating this?
I always tell people to just start with what they know because I knew how to create makeup and I knew how to create a great makeup look on someone. Everything else I had to Google. I had to ask for advice. I have a PhD in what not to do. Let me be clear. I went to community college and I graduated from University of Washington, but I literally have a PhD in what not to do. And I think that that is so important for people to just embrace. And we learn through our mistakes. If we give ourselves space to really reflect on the lessons learned from each situation, there is so much learning. And we don't learn, I'm not the first person to say this, but we do not learn through everything going perfectly. So for me, I started with creating products. And even though I had a background in creating products, specifically makeup, skincare, and even nutrition products, it took me so many years to figure out how to create something that was truly differentiated and solving that problem of false lashes and lash adhesive. There was nothing that was latex free at the time. And so many people, due to lash extensions and the formaldehyde and different ingredients that were in those formulas, they were developing allergies to it. So I'm like, if I'm going to donate this to a cancer patient, I cannot so I literally had to mix it. I had to get all the different raw materials from different people that I knew in the industry and mix it in my Vitamix at home. Wow. And so I always encourage people to start with what they know. I literally Googled how to incorporate a business and then I did it wrong. So it's like, 100%. and I think fear can be so paralyzing. And I always tell the team, and I have to remind myself, do not let perfection be the enemy of speed. Just go. And there's certain things where, like, again, I think I had an absolute advantage because I knew how to create products and that was my background. But there's a lot I didn't know. And there's a lot of mistakes that I've made. And I wouldn't have it any other way, though, because that's ultimately what builds that authenticity. It's what builds the empathy and the compassion and understanding. And it's what built me into who I am.
Yes, yes. And for anyone listening to, so your background, when you were in the corporate world per se, you were doing product development.
Yeah.
So that was, and you wouldn't have known doing the product development that would help you with your business, probably.
No, absolutely no, because
Which is so wild.
I did not have a vision to be an entrepreneur.
Totally.
I didn't know. I just knew I wanted to make makeup and I wanted to make skincare. And to me, that was it. I had made it. I'll never forget when I got flown to Paris in the back of the bus in the airport, on the airplane and I'm in a middle seat all hunched in, and then I landed in Paris and I remember being half asleep because I was jet lagged and looking out and being like, I've made it. And I think that if we can find those elements of our lives where we've made it, whether you're like me I was making $40,000 a year or, running a company or just getting started with a company, like think about like how far you've come. And to me, like being able to go to Paris for free when I was, I don't know, 23 years old, 22, I don't even know what age I was like, oh my gosh, I've made it. So to me, I think just having that positive outlook, and it's not, there are times where there have been very dark times in my career and in my journey. So I'm not here to say that it's all roses, but you aren't able to feel that joy if you don't go through the challenges. So I always remind myself that I'm riding a wave. Like, and sometimes I feel like I'm at the very, very bottom of that wave, but no doubt, just like a wave, I'm going to come back up.
I love that visual. I love that. Yeah, it's so powerful too what you said about just taking in moments to remember that you've arrived or that you are at the place that the previous version of you wanted to be.
Yeah.
Whether it's on the flight to Paris or whatever it is, because maybe in a few years you're gonna be like, I own this fucking plane. You know what I mean? You're gonna be like, it doesn't even matter. But it's like, if I always think like God will not bless you with more if you're not gonna appreciate what you have. Like you're not gonna get more of what you want in your career or your friendships or your relationship if you can't always appreciate or acknowledge what you have. So I really think that's beautiful. For the girl that was, or the woman that was working for 3 years without getting paid, without making money, what was your mindset then?
I didn't look at my bank account. That was one thing.
Obsessed. Delulu.
So advice number 1, be delusional.
This is where girls roll.
No, to me, it was those first three years were the most challenging. No matter what I go through now, I'm able to reflect back on elements of my childhood that were really challenging, as well as those first 3 years. And I'm like, well, it's not as bad as not having a team, doing it by myself, fulfilling orders by myself literally in my kitchen. All of the order fulfillment was literally done in my kitchen. The whole entire company was in a 1-bedroom apartment. And so every day when I leave the office, I often leave after the team has gone home, and I walk around and I just say, thank you. Thank you. And I like just energetically feeling so grateful for the team that we have, the team that has come before them and that will come after them. And also the fact that I'm even in an office right now, the fact that I'm not packing packages by myself at midnight. And so to me, those first 3 years really left this imprint on me. And I've kept a journal all throughout Thrive. I'm a big writer. And those were really dark times. I couldn't find anybody to carry the products. Back then, the idea of creating a direct to consumer beauty business that was giving back, like none of those things existed. And so there was a lot of being misunderstood. And I'm able to reflect now and say, oh my gosh, my childhood prepared me for that. What a gift that was, because I was relentless. Oh my gosh, people like Lauren, people like Shirley, Rowan, these different angels that I've met throughout my journey, Nolly, these people really helped propel me through those dark times. But that is a time that I would not want to go back to, or those early days. But what always kept me going was this greater vision of this mission that we could really change the world through beauty. We could make an impact. And because of those early donations, I had that constant reinforcement. And I always encourage people, keep that around you. Just like literally print out, write down the message, screenshot it, and just like what I was showing you before we got started, I've had the same quote on my phone since I started. It always seems impossible until it's done. So just continue to surround yourself with so much positivity in those moments. And in those early days, and even to today, I'm surrounded by pictures of people that we've been so privileged to serve. Because to me, that's what's real. And whether we had $0 in sales that day, like I did for many, many years, or, like when we were on the Today Show and it was like great sales, I remember that in the early days, and then it drops off. And so you have to just keep that momentum of like self, just continuing to remind yourself of why you're doing what you're doing and what that purpose is.
Yeah, that's what I was just hearing you. It's like, if you are clear on the why, then the how, it shows itself. You can figure it out. The how,
but
becomes
not overnight.
clear, but not overnight. And that's, I mean, the why has to be so big for 3 years of making no money, because most people would be like, okay, I'm out. Like most people give up so soon.
Yeah.
That's what I've realized. I was talking to a friend the other day. I'm like, I was talking about the work that I do, and I was like, the work that I do is so vulnerable. And because it's like you put something out, you're like, you guys like this? I think with your work too, it's like when you're a business owner, you're like, do you guys like this? Is this going to work? Like it feels so vulnerable. It involves so many people. People are very seeing you publicly.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where I'm like, most people quit. Like, and that's why most people aren't successful, not because I'm more talented or anyone else I know is more talented. It's like, because you quit at the first sign of failure, the first sign of you not really getting it. And your tenacity and perseverance is just so huge, but it's also probably helped because of the causes that you have and the women that you serve and the women that you see. You're like, oh, these women need this.
Yeah.
Like without it, then what?
Yeah. And I keep myself surrounded by like I wear bracelets that from our different nonprofits. I am constantly surrounded because it would be really easy in these moments of extreme challenge to say, you know what? I'm done. But it's never come to that point for me. And I don't believe that it ever will, because for me, there are now millions of people that we've been able to serve, but in turn, they've given back so much more to me than I could ever give. And so to me, it's this beautiful journey of course the cause, but also like I love the business element of it too. I have wanted to be in business since I knew, since I was in high school, and I joined Future Business Leaders of America. That gave me so much purpose. And that took me from a really depressed state into this thriving state where I was able to contribute. And I love, like, I am such a business nerd. I am constantly reading different leadership books and management books because I started the business when I was 24. I had no experience really managing people. I mean, I kind of had, but it was to be able to build the plane while flying, is such a privilege, and it's also quite challenging. And so, but for me, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I've had all of that experience, because if I hadn't had that experience, I wouldn't be who I am. And what I love about business and work is that it makes us better in our personal lives. Like, I love getting my ass kicked in the business world now because I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to come out stronger. And that to me is really a gift, because I don't want to live in fear. And there's definitely been times in my life, and I still go back to that place, but there's been those moments where I live in fear, and that's just not a place that I want to exist. So I would rather push it too far than not try at all.
Yeah. What do you think? I agree with you in that business makes you a better person outside of it.
Yeah.
What aspects of you in business or what you've learned in business has made you a better person?
One thing that comes to mind is this model called Working Genius. It's something that we do at Thrive Causemetics and Bigger Than Beauty Skincare, where everybody who joins the company, and even before people join, we give them an assessment. And there's 6 different geniuses that we all possess, but we've only got 2. And then you have your working competencies, which those are the things that you can do for a little bit of time, but kind of like a coffee cup with a hole in it. It'll eventually drain your energy. Yeah. And then there's the working frustrations. So those are the things that you must do at certain points, but you're going to get tired pretty quickly. And so what I love about Working Genius is it's this permission to really own what gives you joy and energy in the workplace and really in life. So for me, one of my working frustrations is actually, it's called tenacity, but it's all like they have the different quadrants that people fall into, but it's like, I love to cast a vision. I love to create, and I love to develop a strategy, but ask me to be the person who's project managing every single element of it. That's going to drain my energy. And so naturally I want to surround myself with people who have tenacity or have it as, whether it's a genius or a competency. And so to me, I'm able to leverage that, yes, in the workplace, but also in my personal life. And so that's one example. I think so many of the different leadership books that I've been privileged to read, they really help me be a better communicator in my personal life as well.
Yeah, I think that's so. Genius Zone?
No.
The book, have you heard of it?
Genius Zone?
By
No.
Gay Hendricks?
No.
So it's kind of similar. So it's basically like zone of competence, zone of incompetence, zone of excellence, zone of genius.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So it's
I
I
have to read this.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. So it's like you wouldn't want to be working at a job where you're in your incompetence.
Yeah.
Competence is fine. Excellence is good. But a lot of times people get stuck in their excellence where
Oh.
genius zone, like you're in your genius zone with your business, like being in the genius zone is like flow state. So it's like,
Mm.
how can you oscillate between excellence and the genius zone more often in your
Yeah.
work? But yeah, it's really just figuring out who you are and how you can be expressed as yourself in business. But I agree on the communication thing. I mean, if I'm able to have hard conversations with my team or with people that I work with or tell them how I feel directly or clearly or ask for the raise or whatever, it just like translates to your life too. Cause you're like, even right now, I'm like, I have to have a hard conversation with someone and I'm just like, okay. But it's like, all right, we got to do it.
You're getting your reps in.
Get
It's literally a
exactly.
muscle.
Exactly.
And it will atrophy if you don't exercise it.
100%. Like I was
Yeah.
going to voice note a friend today to talk to her about it. And I'm like, girl, bye. You can do it.
Yeah.
You can have the conversation. You've done it before. You can do the thing. But it really is like the reps of communication. And
Yeah.
I think for me too, it's also like feel like I have to be in integrity in my business because I'm public and I just want to, obviously. But
Yeah.
that makes me want to be in integrity in my relationships too.
Yeah.
You know, you want to stay integrous like all over the board.
Yes, yes. And it's so powerful what you just said because it is that pushing through that discomfort and
Yes.
coming on the other side because like think about how amazing you are because you've gotten your reps in and how then you go back and I think this can apply in life and in business, whatever situation of like those things that make us feel so much fear in the beginning. If you fast forward 6 months from now and you just zoom out, like is that really going to be the thing that you're struggling with in that moment?
Yeah.
And so then when you're present with it, you're like, okay, I can do this.
Yes, 100%. And I think too, it's like, I don't know if you'd agree, but in business and in life, it's like, it's the small micro fears. It's like, if you would have been you on the floor being like, yo, my business is worth this much money. We're doing this much. It's too much fear to even comprehend. You know,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
kind of like, it's like you have to take the micro fear step of like, okay, today I'm gonna have the hard conversation. Today I'm gonna negotiate with one of my vendors. Today I'm gonna do the one thing that gives me a little bit of fear. And then you just build it up. And then things that were fearful for you 10 years ago
Yeah.
no longer are fearful because you're just
Yeah.
at a different place and you've had enough reps, like you said.
Totally. Yeah. It's not about being fearless. It's about feeling the fear and then doing it anyway and moving through it and then seeing how awesome you are on the other side. Absolutely. Yes.
What I love about your journey too is how many women, it's like women angels,
Yeah.
women leaders that have impacted your life, women as inspiration, serving women in a big way. Like there's such a feminine element, not only to your business, but your ethos, to the women that have impacted you, and then also to the way that your business is, because it's sustainable, it's good for the environment, and you give back. So there's like a lot of femininity in what you do. It's really, really beautiful, but it's funny because it's not overt. It's not like annoying or overt. But how do you think about women in your life and the impact that they've made?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I wouldn't be who I am without the amazing women in my life and so many women that came before me and paved the way for me. I think about people like someone who mentored me when I was in my early 20s, Carol Hamilton, who, I always say she's like the Anna Wintour of beauty. Like she's an icon. And I think about that and like
She's Bare Minerals?
so no, she's actually L'Oreal.
Okay, cool.
And I think about people on the note of Bare Minerals, though, Leslie Blodgett. I mean, think about the path that she paved for so many people to come next to her, and alongside her. And I just think, there are so many women that lead with abundance and have really, even if I've never met them before, like you want to see me fangirl, it's like, put me around a Leslie Blodgett. And I'm like, I literally saw her from across the room and was like, oh my gosh. She literally gave me the turquoise hat off of her head.
Stop.
And yeah, and I idolize her. I still do. And I think that, for me, though, I also think about the women who I've been able to be with through our cause. I think about Soldier, who I showed you the video of Soldier.
We should tell the story of Soldier.
Yeah. I mean, Soldier is 50 years old, had never had her makeup done. And the founder of Beauty to the Streets, which is an organization we've worked with since 2018. We, oh my gosh, I could go on a whole rant about how amazing Shirley Raines is. She's become a dear friend. But she introduced me to Soldier. We were down over Super Bowl weekend in Las Vegas, and we were serving the unhoused population there. And an interesting fact is that in Las Vegas, there actually are not there are not 3 free meals for the homeless population there. So they have to rely on these independent nonprofits, like versus in Los Angeles, as much as it is a challenge still here, Las Vegas is even more challenging. And from my perspective, in the sense that there aren't these outlets for people to go even eat, right? And so we set up this table. We had mirrors with ring lights for the women there that came, and we were able to serve hundreds of women that day. But the one who really stuck out to me, there were so many, but Soldier, she is 50 years old. She had never had her makeup done before, and it doesn't matter why she's unhoused, but she is. And so she's never had a facial. She's never had her makeup done. Like so many of us grew up, and for the prom, we got to do our makeup, or have our makeup done, or maybe for our wedding. She's never had that experience, and she's 50 years old. So I was the lucky one who got to do Soldier's makeup, and I gave her a facial before. So I was like massaging in the serum and the moisturizer and the SPF, and then I got to do her makeup, and I had her look in the mirror for the first time. And to me, that was what, I get choked up talking about it now, because that was the moment where I was like, and I just had to sit in it for like 15 seconds and just feel that connection that we had, and seeing that confidence that she had. And she was laughing, she was smiling. And it was something that I'll never forget, and it changed me. And being able to have that intimate connection with somebody is something that I want for the rest of my life. And there are so many moments where I've been doing someone's makeup through our cause, through our mission, where maybe we don't even speak the same language, but we're just connected in that moment. And that to me is what I crave, and it's what pushes me through those challenging times. And it's what I want to do forever.
I love too that you said you like took a pause and just felt the feeling fully.
Yeah.
And just let it soak in.
Yeah.
That's so important for memory's sake, because when we're in traumatic experiences, we kind of imprint trauma in the brain and in the body so that we don't experience it again. But we don't often take a second to imprint positive memories and experiences. In the movie Soul, they call it core memory. And it's just taking a second to make a core memory and be like, okay, snapshot of this moment, snapshot of this time, me with Soldier, me in this place. Like, how can I remember this forever? And how can I always with my clients, I'm always like, how can you like tap that in?
Yeah.
Like that feeling of success, that like feeling of freedom, that feeling of abundance, that feeling of feeling really good. Like bringing the body into it's really, really nice. But it's the why we're doing this. It's like, that's like the most beautiful moments that you have, is you're at the meetings, you're in the office, you're doing all the things. And then it's like, no, we're on the streets.
Yeah.
And we're helping.
Yeah. And that's what you said is so beautiful. And I just want to underscore too, like this idea that how can we tap it in? How can we really let it sink in? I love listening to, I'm a big music nerd. I love music. And Nicki Minaj's Moment for Life. When the business finally took off and I was staying up till 2 a.m. packing packages, I heard that song, and I had heard it for years because it had been out for years. And when she was saying, I wish that I could have this moment for life. I want this moment for life. That's how I feel about our cause. And so that moment with Soldier, I went back to my room afterwards, and even just thinking about the privilege to have a hotel room. Like, one, I know what it's like to sleep on an air mattress in New York City because I had no money for anywhere to stay. And also to think about the people that we were serving that day, and just really to just sit there and listen to that song, Moment for Life, and just feel like, oh my gosh, this is the feeling that I want. And I know I'm not going to have it. So let me just really cherish this. And then I can come back to it when I am struggling, but to also feel it in that moment, because I don't know about you, but in my 20s, I thought that you reached a certain level and you don't have problems anymore.
Yeah, 100%. That's like why we started Almost 30, because you're like, oh yeah, when you're at 30, everything's solved.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I literally thought Oprah didn't have problems.
Oh my God, 100%. And now I'm like, no, they have more problems.
Totally. And so having that moment to, like you said, tap it in or really feel things deeply when they're positive, so that then you're able to say like, okay, well, I may be in this dark moment now, because by the way, you could have that deep moment like I got to have with Soldier. And then at 5 p.m. later in the day, you could find out something terrible. And I think as an entrepreneur or moms or whatever whatever you are doing in life, like there's always something unpredictable happening. And so you got to take the moment to feel those things. And this is advice I consistently have to remind myself of. I'm saying this for myself.
Yeah, I know everything I say is for myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, I'll like be on stories and I'm like, oh, this is for me, not for you.
Yeah,
I'm like, I need to
totally.
just listen to it myself.
Totally.
It's interesting because, you have the paradox of like, you didn't really know this wasn't the plan to have this huge business and all these things, but yet you have had to remind yourself to dream bigger, to have this like exist. So like, what's your balance of allowing life to like really show up for you and surprise you, and then also having a big dream and vision?
Oh my gosh, that is such a good question. It's something I have to consistently, I literally have so many sticky notes in my garage. That's where I
love that.
exercise. So I have a quote from my friend Brad Stolberg, who wrote The Practice of Groundedness, which is a phenomenal book. Consistency compounds. So to me, it's about showing up every single day. I can be in a really challenging season. I'm like, you know what? I just got to show up today. I'm just showing up and doing my best, because if I'm consistent, just like those first 3 years were really challenging and we had no sales, and I would go to the different retailers and pitch the brand and they would say, not right now, not right now. They're very kind, but it was not right now. It's whatever that challenge is. It's like, okay, it might be not right now, but consistency compounds. But for me now, it's this, it's always this spectrum. And I talk very openly with the team about this, the spectrum of complacency and impatience. And where am I at on that spectrum?
Yes.
Because there's 1,000 problems in a business and in life.
Yeah.
So where am I at on that spectrum? Because I can be highly impatient. And so I have to, and I think to get started in a business, you have to be a little delusional and pretty impatient to say, you know what? And in some senses, you have to be very patient. Like I had to be very patient for a lot of things.
That's an interesting, because I was so impatient, but you are, that's such an interesting thing. So true.
Yeah. And I think that, but the ignorance is bliss when you're getting started. And so I wish that I had the exact same experience, because if I would have known how hard it was, I wouldn't have done it. Yeah. And I would have been too scared. And I'm so grateful that I didn't know. But going back to having, how do you continue to have that big vision and balance that with allowing things to happen? I've wanted the business to go international for years. And also I have to sit back and say, oh my gosh, well, we've only had employees for just over 7 years. And we're an independently held, woman-owned business. So a lot of these brands that are going international, they have strategic partners. Like they've sold to L'Oreal or Estee Lauder, and that's not my path. That's not what I want for this company. I want to continue to stay independent so that we can wake up one day and, like we did when Breonna Taylor was killed, say, you know what, we're going to partner with Breonna Taylor's family and University of Louisville and launch the Breonna Taylor Nursing Scholarship Endowment. And so to me, to be able to write $100,000 check, first of all, that's insane that we were able to do that. I'm so grateful. That's really a testament to our community, but also it's a testament to independence and not having to go talk to the higher ups that own the company and convince them that this is a worthy cause. We get to feel that. We get to hear that feedback from our community and say, yes, we're doing that. And so to me, it's like I can remain very patient in the expansion of the company or even the growth of the company in those really challenging moments, because I say, you know what? It's a long life, I hope, for me. I hope it's a long life, and I want the impact of this company and this company to outlive me. So just like Steve Jobs didn't just make Apple happen overnight. Like the reason why Apple is still thriving is because he built from within. Like Tim Cook was homegrown from within Apple and continuously, partnering with Steve and I. I mean, I wasn't there. I wasn't privileged to know him, but I think that there are a lot of great examples of these companies that really think infinitely. And that's how I think about Thrive Causemetics and Bigger Than Beauty Skincare and any brand that we create in this larger Thrive Causemetics ecosystem.
Hey, Almost 30 listeners. This episode is proudly brought to you by Lola V, an award-winning hair care line founded by the fabulous Jennifer Aniston. Know her? I know. Pretty incredible. As you know, Mother's Day is fast approaching, and Mom doesn't want another generic scented candle or card. I asked her. Instead, why not gift her Jennifer Aniston approved hair? That's right. If you haven't heard about it yet, Lola V is Jen's vegan and cruelty-free hair care line that is suitable for all hair types and textures. How? Because they take the time to formulate with naturally derived plant-based ingredients and then test on a variety of heads. And here's a treat for you. Our listeners, you're amazing. For a limited time, you get an exclusive 15% off your entire order at lolav.com. Just use the code A30POD, A30POD at checkout. I mean, if you're taking hair care advice or looking to surprise mom with something she'll really love, look no further. Just real quick, my favorite products right now is the Glossing Detangler and the Perfect Leave-In Conditioner. Must haves. Enjoy.
Yeah, staying independent and like having your priorities straight is so huge. That's what I admire about you. So one of the things I admire is just like, I'm here to serve. I'm here for my community. I want to do it my way, and I'm not going to get swayed by the shiny, because so many people do.
Well, and I'm here because of them. Like it will never be lost on me how fortunate I am. This is very rarefied air. I get emotional when I talk about our community, because I think about people like Island or Nicole or Jessica or Danara, like so many these people who literally we text, we run half marathons together. Like these are people who started as customers and have deeply, deeply impacted me in such a positive way. And I am only here because of them. Like they aren't here, I have no business. And so I think it's really important for all of us to remember how, like sometimes I was just telling the team this actually this morning, I will go through our Shopify sales and I will just say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, because I know what it's like to have no sales. And so every time one of our customers votes with their dollars and they go all the way through the journey of thrivecausemetics.com and purchase, that's allowing me to continue to live my dream. And so to me, like, that's what keeps me really grounded is I mean, you can always go back there. You can always go back and sleep on that air mattress and be working that full-time job to fund this company that might not ever make it. And so I will never lose that sense of gratitude that I have for our customers and for our giving partners. Believe it or not, it was really hard to find charities to support when I first started the business 10 years ago.
Why?
There weren't a lot of nonprofits that were accepting makeup and skincare as donations. In fact, a lot of when I would reach out to different cancer charities or hospitals, a lot of the response was, well, we tell women going through chemo not to wear makeup. And I said, that's unacceptable. Like that's absolutely unacceptable. And so the fact that we have over 500 nonprofits that we've been able to partner with now, we had to find them through our community. It was literally through social media. It was literally through, a friend of a friend of a friend, maybe another nonprofit recommending one another. That's how it's been able to grow. And so to me, I'm actually exceptionally grateful for the way that our community has fueled the cause beyond just voting with their dollars, but also connecting us with different nonprofits.
Wow.
Yeah.
Again, the power of women, man. Like, we just roll. I was, it's funny because sometimes when something is just so powerful, I'm like not the type that's like, I'm like, I just get quiet. I'm like, whoa. For anyone listening that is a business person, entrepreneur, like those two practices you said earlier, you go through the cubicles and you say thank you to all the employees, and then looking at the sales and saying thank you. Like how often do people look at sales of something if you have a small business and you say like, it's almost like, where's the next one? Where's more? It just kind of goes past you where it's almost like the hungry ghost, you're just never satisfied. So you're like, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
But to lead with that much gratitude is so powerful.
Yeah. And I mean, the hungry ghost is real.
Yeah.
Brad writes about that in his book.
Wow.
And it's so real, and it'll never be enough.
Yeah.
It'll never be enough. You will never be enough to that one person who, the amount of times that I've been told that I'm too cerebral by, maybe a pop culture magazine or something like that. Oh, she's too cerebral for that. She's too much of a nerd because I'm a science nerd or I'm a business nerd. Or, oh, she's not cool enough for that. Or you contrast that with, oh, well, she's just a pretty face, right? You're people are going to project their own insecurities onto you constantly.
Yeah.
And so you can get caught up in that, or you can just say, I am enough. and I am doing the best that I can in this moment, and I am perfectly perfect. I am perfectly imperfect. And so to me, it's really, really easy to get caught up in what's not enough. And so I have to constantly write down and reframe. Every morning I journal almost every single morning, and I write the things that I'm struggling with. And then I always end it with what I'm grateful for. And so much of it is the simple things. It always starts with like, oh my gosh, the sunshine, my dogs, the fact that I have a warm bed to sleep in, the fact that I get to make makeup and skincare, that I get to work with such exceptional people who are teaching me so much every single day. I love our team. I'm so grateful for our team. And the fact that we have customers. Like I could just go on and on and on. And I think, again, it's really easy to get caught up in what we're not. But I always encourage myself and other people to just reflect on like, what are you already? Like you're so beautiful if you just think about who you are already.
I love that. So not focusing on what you're not, but focusing on what you are already. That is so powerful. What are some other practices that you've done that have really just transformed you?
Movement to me, movement for mental health.
Yeah.
Movement is medicine.
Yes. How do you move?
And so I wake up every morning and I walk.
Yeah.
That's how I start.
Love walks.
And walking. And I don't wake up like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. You know what I mean? Like not every day. Like today I was so excited to come here. So I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. So, but I wake up, I move my body. I love there's this app called the Ready State. I love to do, shout out to Juliet and Kelly Starrett. They're amazing. I love to do their mobility. I do the morning hip spin up with them just to get that, like to get things flowing. And that's what works for me now. And it's worked for me for the last couple of years. I walk, sometimes I jog. I do strength training 3 times a week. And that has been a really empowering experience for me because I was really scared. I did not have a lot of body awareness when I first started lifting weights. And so maybe I would tweak my neck or, and things like that. But to push through that, I find that manifests itself in my life. So if I'm able to do that interval sprint that I'm terrified of for 30 seconds, that is going to reinforce to my brain that I can then go have that tough conversation. So I love movement of all kinds. And to me, starting my day that way, 7 days a week is really, really important, even if it's a 20-minute walk. I know that it's not always possible to go for a run or train really hard. But to me, it's really, really important to start with movement. And that to me is almost meditative.
100%.
Yeah.
And mental clarity, your heart. I always think it's like, if I ever feel stuck in life, it's like, okay, what's my body doing? If I'm sitting behind a desk all day, am I just looking at a screen? Am I physically stuck? Am I not moving my muscles? And even just when I do foam rolling or stretching, it's like I'm releasing tension and I'm releasing what could be stuck ideas, emotions, thoughts, like expression. Like the more fluid my body can be, the more I'm able to move through the world. Yeah. It's just so powerful. And I really do think that we underestimate the power of just movement.
Yeah. Movement and music.
Yes,
and
I love the music thing too.
Singing and dancing.
Yeah.
Like I have no dance background. I have no professional singing background, but not caring if you're off key and just being. Yeah. And I think that it's that movement, whether it's, through, and I think music is so powerful for reinforcing positivity 100%. In our lives too. Like there's this artist named Lady Bree who I listened to, Good Day, this song that she wrote. And she's like, it's literally like, you're going to have a great day if you listen to this song. Like that's, yes. And I think that is such a powerful way to start the day. In fact, that's what I got this like Alexa Echo thing, it's like $30. Yeah. And that's my alarm now. And so sometimes I'm waking up to, you're now tuning into the motherfucking greatest from Jay-Z, dirt off your shoulder. And there's a dun, 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 but then sometimes I need that Lady Bree. It's going to be a good day, know? It's always like a different
music
vibe.
Is huge. Yes. I was just sharing in my little broadcast channel research around music improving your mood. 3 to 5 minutes of music can improve your mood for almost the rest of the day. Actually, what the number one improver of mood for 7 to 8 hours is listening to birds chirp.
Oh, I believe that deep.
There's a frequency of birds chirping that can
Oh.
improve your mood for 7 to 8 hours after you hear it.
I believe that so
Isn't that so
deep.
fascinating?
Yes.
Like I've noticed my
Yes.
life shift even just listening to gospel or music I love every morning.
Yeah.
Like my mood is completely different. My frequency is completely different.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just being able to, it's also just practicing giving yourself permission to be who you are and move how you want to move.
Yeah.
And be who you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, okay, in this moment, no one's around. I'm just going to move how I want to move. I'm going to sing how I want to sing and I'm going to be myself.
Yeah.
And we can be more of ourselves if we practice it in micro moments. So like even when we're alone, just kind of like giving ourselves the freedom, which is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to come back to the birds chirping because this is, you just made a connection for me. I walk my dogs in the morning, probably around like 5:30 in the morning, and the birds are chirping and the sun hasn't quite risen yet. But I do this thing, not every morning, but I try to consistently do a gratitude walk with them. So we list out the things that we're thankful for. And of course, it's me talking, and they're just like, they're just like, I have Cody and Cooper. I have these 2 little rescues. They're so cute, and so I'm like, okay, boys, what are we thankful for today? And it's always, I always start with the birds chirping because I'm like, it makes me so happy to hear that,
Isn't it? It makes me emotional thinking about it. Just like when you hear birds, you're just like, life is good.
Yeah.
I heard a nightingale the other day at my house, and I was like, I haven't heard a nightingale since I was younger. Just hearing the sounds of nature is just so nice. So that's another. So you've already listed 3 opportunities for gratitude. Your morning walk, you write it in the journal, and then you're doing it when sales happen, actually 4, and then you're also doing it with your employees.
At nighttime,
At nighttime as well. So that's 5 opportunities for gratitude.
Yeah.
That's
just
huge.
I mean, it really does change things. And again, my friend Agapi Stasinopoulos, who wrote this amazing book, Wake Up to the Joy of You, she's I'm going to misquote her, but like the human brain is designed to look out for negativity. And I remember her talking with our team about that about a year ago. And it was just, she was like listing off, it's like hundreds of negative thoughts versus like the few positive that we have. And so I don't ever want to come across like I just walk around so grateful, like I'm Mother Earth, walking around, it's a practice. And we were talking about neuroplasticity and how we can rewire our brain to be grateful. And I think that that's where it's just the more that we can surround ourselves with gratitude and those little, like you were saying, micro moments to be thankful, feel that joy deeply, tap it in. Those are really, really powerful in those challenging moments.
Yeah, I love that because each time with the gratitude, it's an effort or it's like an effort to start and then it becomes like automatic and you just become in it. But I'm sure that has to do with so much of your success.
Well, I mean, even on like, we could be going through the most challenging legal situation and then I get to think about, oh my gosh, we have a full line of makeup. Like right now, we've got some new team members and I was just talking with our head of people, Grace, and I said, Grace, I underestimated how many products we needed to train people on. And we can see that. And I just heard this actually on the Table Group podcast, which is leadership podcast the other day. Every experience can either be a liability or an asset. And to me, I'm like, okay, I see opportunity. I've got some fresh faces, some new eyes on this product that we maybe created 5 years ago. Hey, let me go teach her about how to use that. And I'm talking about our employees to say, let me teach you how to do your brows. Because by knowing what they don't know and what's confusing to them, we're then able to meet a new consumer in that way as well. So it can be very overwhelming. And at times I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so many products to train people on. Or, I need to reinforce our values. We've got 3 values at Thrive Causemetics. Candor is kind, 1 team, 1 score, and do it with purpose or don't do it at all. And those are our values. And reinforcing those values to people is so important and something that is, it's pattern recognition for people. And that can be overwhelming. Or you can just start every meeting by saying, these are our values in action. Every staff meeting that I have, we start, or every all hands, we start with values in action and celebrating our team members who are really living those values. But it's those micro moments. It's not like you need to go have a training on values. And I'm saying this to my younger self of, and even to my current self that's a bit overwhelmed about how many products we need to train people on right now. We don't need to, we get to. It's an opportunity.
Yep.
And so to me, that's really makes it so much less daunting.
I love too the celebrating team members. at the beginning of a meeting. That's so powerful.
We can't do it enough. And I don't do it enough.
Wow.
But
I know, same.
So, but to me, it's like, sometimes it's me celebrating, but a lot of times I really like to invite other people in and say, what did you catch somebody doing amazing the other day? How can we celebrate them? And again, it's a constant work in progress. And also you do have to talk about the challenging things. Like our value of candor is kind is so important. And Brene Brown says this, that clear is kind, unclear is unkind. And I think, at least for myself, I struggled because my directness has been demonized in ways, right? So like I've had a lot of people say, you're bitchy, you're too direct, whatever. And so when I went away from that core of being direct, I got kind of like passive and confusing. And then I had to come back to like, okay, well, how can I do this with skill? How can I do this with finesse? And it's really, like you said, just getting your reps in.
I love that. And I love that you made it a value.
Yeah.
You're like, actually, this isn't a problem. This is a company value now. This is a part of it. So many women, it's like being, I was at an event yesterday with a dear friend, and there was like 5 men that we were just over the course of the day. They're like, you're so closed off to her. And I'm like, what? Because she's not like leaky energy. You know what I mean? I just was like, what is like, what? What
does that even mean?
What does that mean? I was like, she's being so warm and loving. Like she's not like, it was just confusing. I'm like, what do people want from us?
Well, and that's the thing is like, we're not guacamole. We're not for everyone. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like that to me is like,
Exactly.
Such a beautiful lesson though, of like, just because somebody doesn't like you or you don't like somebody or, somebody worked in your life for a certain period of time and they no longer fit, that doesn't mean that they're bad people. And that's what I love about the dialectical. You and I were talking about dialectical behavior therapy. And like, for me, that is so powerful because it's the power of it just is. And that's okay.
Yes.
And that's how we feel right now.
Yes.
And we reserve the right to change our mind in the future.
Yeah, I love that it just is, because that just kind of solves everything. We're like, oh, they think I'm cold. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Or I could be, like the thought of like, I could be less direct, or it's like, no, it just is. Like I am that way. That's kind of how it is. The dialectical behavioral therapy, right? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
What is that?
So in short form, it's called DBT.
Okay.
But dialectical behavior therapy is really a modality of psychology that teaches us different frameworks to think about things like guilt and shame, and how those things are really different. But it's this framework of how to then tease out, okay, when am I feeling shameful and when am I feeling guilt? And the way that they define it is that guilt is when you are not in alignment with your values, versus shame. So like if you stole from a friend, or stole in general, I guess.
I did get caught shoplifting in high school.
Yes.
So yes.
So that would be guilt. It's that dirty feeling.
Oh yes.
Right?
Yes.
That dirty feeling, versus shame is, by how they define it, this idea that maybe you're embarrassed about how somebody thinks about you, or someone doesn't like you. And that's more shame. And then they go down, okay, well, does it fit the facts? Okay, so if you stole something, the guilt actually fits the facts.
Yep.
But does the shame fit the facts? And then like going through that, and it's this framework that's very methodical that you can come back to and say, oh, okay, like that maybe I was feeling shame in that moment, maybe I was feeling guilt, and then the ability to release it and move through it and come out on the other side. Because sitting with our guilt, like I've been there, I still am there in different moments where it's like, okay, guilt, shame, sitting with that is really, really exhausting and really, really heavy. And so if we can just release that, and then we just get to show up in this much more vibrant, bright expression of ourselves.
Yeah, because I think there's a part of us that uses guilt or shame to make sure we don't do it again. It's like, don't do it again. You might get left from the group, or you might be abandoned, or you might be not loved. And so it creates that feeling for us to have. But yeah, those are so visceral for me. Like even when we talk about the words, I'm so sensitive. I'm like, I feel shame and guilt. Like you can just really feel it. But I love the practice of kind of getting really clear and strategic about how you're going to work with those two feelings.
Well, yeah, because if you can define it, then at least for me and for the, hundreds of thousands of people.
For cerebral you.
Yeah. I mean,
for someone as cerebral as you.
For as many people who say I'm cerebral, there would be a lot of people who say I'm dumb. So
Yeah,
I'm just,
exactly.
I'm like,
Say
you know
no
what?
more.
I'll take it. I'll take
more.
it. But for the people that it works for, it's like being able to name it allows us to release it.
Yes.
And I think that that's a really powerful practice for people, whatever works for people. But for me, I'm actually getting trained in dialectical behavior therapy because I've found that so much of what I do in my job as a CEO is psychologically based.
100%.
And I love that though.
too.
Like, I love that. I love knowing like, oh, okay. Like we also utilize this tool called DISC. It's a communication tool. And everybody falls within a different quadrant. And like, I'm a D, which is like direct, dominant. And there's the I, there's the S and the C. And I encourage anybody who's wondering about their communication style to explore something like that. Because again, it gives you a framework and tools to be able to connect with somebody who might be on the opposite end of the spectrum than you. But it doesn't mean either of you are bad. It's just you are maybe speaking literally a different language, even though you might be speaking English, because you're interpreting messages in different ways. So like a D personality, it's like start with what you need from me. Like be very direct with me and I'm going to be thriving. Versus a C profile wants the 10 bullet points underneath the big idea. So it, again, allows me to be so much more strategic on how I'm communicating with people, and then also gives me a framework when I'm struggling.
I love that. So it's called DISC.
DISC.
That people can look it up.
It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, that was something. I remember at my first job, I was in finance management consulting. And I remember just like being there. And I remember, being on the computer writing my first email. And I was like, and I remember like my boss had to send me an email template. And I was like, okay, hello, I hope this finds you well. And I was like, okay, this is the script. And like, you know what I mean? I was like, okay, best regards. Is that what we say? And then just being even like with my boss and people, I was like, oh, this is business, but this is a lot relational. How am I with my boss? How am I with my coworkers? How am I with clients? Like for me, I really realized a lot of the human experience is just our relationships. It's how we navigate relationships to self, to other, romantic, whatever. It's like so much of it's so much more soft skills than I think we really give things credit for.
Oh, absolutely. We always say this with our team. It's like business and it's, if you just look at business, black and white, which is not. Ours is turquoise.
Yeah, you're exactly turquoise.
But it's actually pretty easy. Like if you just learn a class and then think about business, right? But when you apply the humans to it, it's the humans that make it challenging and also what make it beautiful. Because again, nothing worth anything is not challenging. Everything that's worth something has challenges in it.
Yeah.
And you're so right. It's so relational.
It's just all. But I'm excited to hear about what you guys are planning for your give back component for this year. Like what is on the horizon for the brand? What are you guys looking forward to?
I am so excited.
Because you had $135 million.
$135 million.
That's insane.
It's insane in funds and products
that
donated.
That is sane and that is normal and that is happening everywhere.
It is, it's so remarkable what our customers have made possible and what our giving partners have made possible. I think about Cheryl, who's one of our namesakes for our impactful lipstick, and she is celebrating her 100,000th lipstick donated. So she donates lipsticks in Florida to domestic violence survivors. And I think we're like 80,000 of that. Like 80,000 Thrive Causemetics lipsticks have been able to be donated by this one woman, Cheryl, who had a vision. So again, we can get caught up in the large numbers. And by the way, 80,000 is insane. I remember when I was donating like 10 products and feeling really great about that. So anybody who has a cause-based business that's donating, I don't ever want to underestimate the power of one product donated or $1 donated because it really is powerful and makes an impact. But I think about people like Cheryl, who she started Find Your Fabulosity out of her heart and out of her own purpose and her own pain. And we have over 500 Cheryls of nonprofits that we've been able to support. And we just wrapped our impact committee, which is where we get everybody from our employees and our community together and we review applications from different nonprofits that want to be a part of our cause and receive our donations. And so we literally right now are in the process of shipping those products from our warehouse. We're packing them up with so much love to these individual nonprofits, of which we were going to choose 80. We chose over 100.
Like,
because we were like, we can't,
Yeah.
But it's a record-breaking donation year for us in the sense that we are already able to support 100 nonprofits to kick off the year, which to me, again, is just it's a testament to the power of community. Because I started our impact committee this year, and again, everybody we break up into these little groups, and we're reviewing applications from the different causes. So one group is reviewing the veterans applications and things like that. And I kicked off the day, and I said, "Team, I need us to just really feel how powerful it is that we had hundreds of applicants this impact committee. Like, that's a really, really big deal." Because it would be all too easy to just walk through those beautiful turquoise walls that we have here in Los Angeles and say, oh, it's always been this way. And it hasn't been. And so constantly reminding myself and our team and our community, like, wow, we are really fortunate that we get to watch all of these videos today and review these applications and give in the way that we are, to be able to give a full face of makeup and skincare to a woman who's going through a challenging time. I got to go to Disneyland and reunite foster siblings that have been separated in the foster system through Foster Love, the nonprofit that we've supported for years. And this year they're going to celebrate their millionth child that Foster Love has supported since they started the nonprofit. And so to me, those are the moments. Yes, there's very exciting launches coming and there's very exciting milestones that we get to announce, but it's those moments of like, that's what gets me out of bed. Like, that changed my life. Talk about core memories. Top 10 memories of my life was getting to go to Disneyland with those kids. And it was a challenging day. It was a really, really challenging day. And it was also magical. What was so magical about that day at Disneyland was there was a little girl that I'm not going to name because, for confidentiality, but she was stabbing herself with, how you get that new, the first time visitor to Disneyland? She was actually stabbing herself with that pin. She was so dysregulated. There was a point where we lost her. She was, throwing her body into different things. And it was, she was really, really struggling.
Wow.
And I got to be the one to just hold her hand and tell her that she was awesome.
Wow.
With her social worker. And we just held her hand. We were there for her. At one point, then she started hugging us. And then by the end of the day, she was laughing. She was leaping into my arms. She was telling me she loved me. And to me, that is the power of human connection and love. So whether you're a little girl who's gone through immense trauma like she has and is very dysregulated, or you are a grown-up kid, 70 years old and feeling really dysregulated in your life, all you need is that love and structure and community. And to see that transformation in a human in one day is something that I will never, ever forget. And it left such an imprint on me that we're never finished. We're never done growing and evolving. And it doesn't matter what you've been through in your life, that we can, through the love and compassion of others, come out on the other side. And I know she's going to be just fine. I know she will. So to me, that's what I'm really excited about with our business and where we're headed, because it's doing the same thing that we've always done, but on such a bigger scale. So to me, that's what really excites me about continuing to grow the business and expand our impact.
Wow. It's such a visual. I was like in Disney. I'm like where you guys were. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for coming. It's been such a pleasure. And to sit with you and to learn from you and to see your passion is just so inspiring for me. I think I personally can get caught up in just feeling like the numbers or whatever it is, and just coming back to the why that we do what we do, and coming back to the gratitude, and coming back to making sure that we are present for the process of it all is so important.
Yes.
And so I'm so grateful that you're able to really just tap that in for me today. It's so, so, so beautiful. And for everyone listening, I love your products. I said it, say it once, I'll say it again. I love them. It's basically all that I use. It's been so beautiful to have a vegan, cruelty-free brand that really, really works. And I'm just so grateful to partner with you guys.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for all the good you put into the world. It's really been such a pleasure to share space with you, and everything that you are putting out into the world to really help people thrive is just exceptional.
Thrive, baby.
Yes.
All right, guys, we love you. We'll see you later. Bye. Thank you so much, Karissa. Again, it's Karissa Bodnar from Thrive Causemetics, and you can use the code ALMOST30 for a discount at Thrive Causemetics. And the website is thrivecausemetics.com.
CAUSE medics.com. Awesome. Thank you so much for listening. Please share this with a friend or any other episode that you love. It means so much to us. That's how we've grown. Make sure you subscribe to Almost 30 and our clip show, Morning Microdose. It's a great way to start your day every single day. During the week, we have new episodes, 5 to 15 minutes of inspo. And we love you.
We love you guys. You're the best. Truly, 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 madly, deeply. You are doing amazing things in the world. I love you so much. Lindsay does too. Thank you for being part of our lives and community. We'll see you on the next one. Bye. Bye.